Beck, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm married to Pete, and we have 3 school-aged children in years 7, 5 and 3. We live in Turramurra, and we've been at St James for over 10 years, and we love raising our family in this church. Each one of us feels loved and valued and very welcome here. I am a doctor, and I work part-time in a medical writing role.
What do you love about Jesus in this week's Bible story?
In this story, I love the fact that Jesus doesn't turn this woman away from himself to protect his reputation. She's a woman in the eyes of society who has a questionable reputation, and she's not polite company. Yet Jesus isn't embarrassed to be associated with her. He actually sees her as a person of worth who recognises her need for forgiveness. And so he publicly welcomes her, and he offers forgiveness and compassion and mercy. And through this we can see that Jesus sees her as a person of worth, and he actually ends up showing her to Simon as an example of true and humble faith.
Beck, considering some of Simon's conclusions about Jesus in this week's Bible story, I was wondering if there was a time in your life when your conclusions about Jesus changed.
Before my early adulthood, I hadn't really thought about the existence of God or Jesus much at all. I knew Christmas and Easter were about Jesus, but didn't really know any of the details. So I guess the time my conclusions about Jesus changed was when I was at university, and friends of mine challenged me to read the Bible and actually investigate the person of Jesus. And for me, the key thing was realising that Jesus was a historical person, written about in the pages of the Bible in historical detail. And so I read the accounts of his life and his death and resurrection in the Gospels. And for me, what I realised was Jesus was actually making some pretty significant claims about himself. And he wasn't just some person that you could read about and then just pop him back on the shelf. What he was saying actually required me to make a personal decision and response one way or the other.
For the woman in this week's Bible story, knowing Jesus' forgiveness had a drastic impact on the way that she lived and responded. I was wondering for you how knowing Jesus' forgiveness has had an impact on the way that you live your life.
Knowing I have Jesus' forgiveness is actually very reassuring for me, because I know I'm acceptable to God, even though I think, say and do the wrong thing on a regular basis, and certainly don't have it all together. It gives me a sense of freedom knowing that I don't need to work to achieve a certain standard to be acceptable to God. I know that because of what Jesus did at Easter, I'm always acceptable and I can always approach God. The other side of it is recognising my own need for forgiveness. It just helps to keep in check attitudes of superiority and judgmentalism when I look at other people. Like Simon, it's very easy to have those feelings and to think you're doing a better job than others. But the truth is we all need forgiveness, and remembering that each day just really helps to keep those attitudes in check.
Beck, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.